Hello there. We're now coming to the close of our series about the archetypes, our introductory series, which we've called Archetypal Back to Basics. At this point, I'm going to cheat because I know we've only got 2 archetypes left, and I would like to finish on Mother Earth if that's one of the 2 that we have left. So the other one that we have, which we'll do first, is Air and Earth, which is the Sage. So we'll do the Sage next, and then we can do Mother Nature at the very end, which I think is a nice place to come to rest. Okay. Now, the Sage archetype is Air and Earth. So air is his predominant element, and earth is like his inner element in a sense. And it's, I think, this which gives this archetype and this consciousness such an enormous attention to objectivity, because there is something to be objective about, so to speak. It's an objectivity which is able to be free from emotion and emotional attachment and emotional bias, and free from identification, and all those things are very important to what this archetype in this state of consciousness is capable of. It's a sort of archetype that you can associate in part with like scientists and the scientific method and things like this. So we can associate him with scientists, but also we can associate him with things like ascetics and certain kinds of mystics that have this very equal-minded way of functioning, undisturbed, seeking peace and clarity, and a kind of honesty from the point of view of this form of consciousness. So we can see him, for instance, in figures of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and various kinds of ascetics, yeah, and you will see that along with this we can maybe see some of his more mythological images which follow on from this, because you can also see this archetype in figures of the Grim Reaper, in a sense, in the skeletal figures, yeah, because these are figures where there's nothing left to obscure what is the bare bones of reality, so to speak. So we have this same sense of objectivity there. Tamadjiong associated him with the god Hades, but I actually don't agree with him here. I think he's far closer, in a sense, in terms of resonance, to Kronos and Saturn, and that's where I really see him in this sense. So this Grim Reaper and the Saturn Kronos figure, these all seem to have something to do with this archetype. It's a very interesting archetype, though. You see all sorts of things in him, along with the scientist, this kind of like egghead scientist type, yeah, and along with the detached ascetic who's withdrawn from life in their mountain cave above the world. Yeah, that's another thing with this state of consciousness. It's very much the view from very high up on the mountain. It's not engaged and involved in the profusion of life. It's from in a more rarefied atmosphere, and it seems to be able to get this clarity because of that. So we see the scientist, and we see the ascetic, and we see the mystic. I think there's also a place here for the modern image of the alien, or the sort of the grey, or what have you. Again, something which is so divorced from our profusion of human life, and yet seems to have this extraordinary capacity within it, which seems in some senses quite inhuman. And I think we can see some sort of resonances here between some of the ascetic images and some of the alien images, for instance. We do associate this this archetype with things like mountaintops and stuff like that. Yeah. Another thing I believe we could associate this with is, I mean, by way of illustration, because it's to do with objectivity and listening, we can also see him reflected in things like radio telescopes that turn this bowl, this dish, out to the universe, out to the sky to see. And this gives us a sense of what this archetype has within it, which is this great spaciousness, this openness, this wide horizon, this great panorama, which can seemingly take in the entire sky, the entire horizon, and have this extraordinary, far distant vision, which allows it to see perspectives which get lost in the profusion of life and in attachment and all such things as that. So it is a very detached archetype, a very detached form of consciousness, tremendously helpful and useful in terms of giving us peace and giving us perspective on things, and giving us space. These are some of its really wonderful qualities, and this mental space and peace is one of its tremendous gifts, which we can really need and really benefit from. When it gets stuck, it becomes sort of dissociated, it becomes cut off from life, it becomes unable to take action, it becomes unable to feel, it becomes unable to respond. And in this case, it will become very problematic. It won't be able to take its place in life, it won't be able to give what it can give back to life, and it will sort of end up in a position of being in a very vulnerable state, really, because it will be unable to participate, unable to support itself, unable to do anything really. And so when it's stuck, it does get a kind of dissociated, cold, unresponsive quality, which in that case would become a real problem. But all in all, this is a very helpful archetype. It's one which gives us it gives us room, it gives us space, which we do need. It gives us a sort of equanimity, it gives us a capacity to see things as they are rather than as we might want to see them. So that's a very, very precious thing, really, because it means that we can actually get beyond ourselves. And that's also, this freedom from identification is also one of the sort of like, I think one of the linchpins of its place in things like mysticism as well, where it can help us to get beyond our identifications, which are often the things which really, really hold us back and really give us problems, because we get stuck in what we identify with, and we get stuck in what we are attached to. And so it is a real remedy for that. Yeah, it can really free us and liberate us. But of course, if it itself gets stuck, then it becomes a kind of false freedom in a sense, and it becomes a problem in itself. However, it is a really quite wonderful consciousness, and its gift is really peace, space, and the possibility of objectivity, and of actually being able to go beyond ourselves in this peaceful manner. So that's the Sage. I hope that gives some idea of what it's about. and of what it can be useful for. There's of course a lot more to it, but I hope that will be okay for a start.